head in an instant, and how some people aren't what they claim to be. I managed a hotel and an apartment building in Santa Monica for about 7 years. I lived in an apartment building, and I had an office in the hotel across the street. Super easy commute. It's particularly great if you live in LA. You meet a lot of interesting people when you manage an apartment building. For example, there was an entire couple who lived in the apartment next to mine, the Gascos. The first time I met the husband, I was in my apartment playing guitar and trying to write a song. There's a knock on the door, and I open it to find a 70-year-old man holding a black case. He tells me that he heard me playing music, and he liked it, which was good. And he thought I could use this black Stetson cowboy hat. Really nice gesture. I thank him, and he says his name's Charlie. So fast forward 5 years, and I'm taking a nap on my couch. I've been working for 2 weeks straight, no days off, on call every night. But this particular Wednesday, I was taking off work early, and I was going to see this band, My Morning Jacket in Hollywood. I was meeting a friend, all planned out. At 2 p.m., the phone rings, and my coworker is at the hotel with the FBI. Before I know it, I'm on the phone with an FBI agent, and he says, I need to talk to you about a tenant in your apartment building. I'm on my couch, so I say, can we do this tomorrow? He says, no. Where are you? Come here now. So I get to my office, and I have a seat, and there's a large man wearing Hawaiian shirt and jeans. He closes the door and throws a manila folder down the desk. He opens it and points to 2 sheets of paper. Across the top is wanted, and underneath, a photo of a man and a woman, names. He asks if these people live in the apartment next to mine, and at first glance, I know the woman is my neighbor, Carol Gasco. Yes, I know these guys. These are my neighbors. And while I've never heard the name Catherine Grigg, the name James J. Whitey Bulger is very familiar. I'd heard this name many, many times when I was in college at Boston University, but I didn't really know anything about him. He was a Jimmy Hoffa type guy, and you're like, oh, this guy's missing. He's never gonna be found. It's kind of like a joke. So I'm standing there, and the FBI agent says, what do you think? I say, does my face tell you? He says, I need percentages. I say, 99.5, 100%. So he gets on his radio, and while this is happening, it's almost like in a movie after an explosion, where the sound just disappears, and you're trying to process something you're not familiar with. You don't know what's going on, you don't know what's about to happen. I mean, this is an old man who bought me a bike light one time because he was worried about me riding my bike at night without one. And now I'm discovering he's a notorious fugitive? Another agent quickly appears, and he says, we need the keys to his apartment. If you don't give them to us, we'll bust his door down. I say, okay, here are the keys. He leaves, and then the other agent, Hawaiian shirt, says, look, this guy's pretty high on the most wanted list. We could use your help apprehending him. My first response is, I just gave you the keys to his apartment and told you he lives there. So I'm not really sure what else I can do. He says, well, we can't just go to his apartment. We have to make sure he's in there. If it's just her, it doesn't really work for us. So why don't you go downstairs and see if he's there? In the previous months, Carol had been telling people in the building, Charlie has dementia, he has heart problems. They put notes on their door during the day that said, don't knock on the door. I knew from talking to him over the years that he slept during the day. I explain this to the agent, and without skipping a beat, he moves on and says, well, what are you doing tonight? I say, I'm going to a concert. He says, you might want to cancel those plans. So I call my buddy, and I tell him, look, I don't think I'm gonna make the show tonight, and I can't tell you why. As the original shock is dissipating, I realize I'm gonna be with these guys until they have me in cuffs. Then, things really kick in. They place an agent in the hotel at a window that has a good view of the Gasco's balcony. Then the agent wants to go to my apartment. I take him through a back alley and some side streets, so we aren't walking from the apartment building in full view of Charlie and Carol. We're stopping at cars, he's talking on the radio, and there are agents everywhere. I'm starting to think this is a pretty big deal. It must be. There are this many people staked out in the neighborhood? The FBI agent says, they just closed their blinds. did you tip him off? And I say, I've been with you the whole time. No, of course not. We get to my apartment, and I draw them a floor plan of the Gasco's place. We're throwing ideas back and forth about how to get this guy out of his apartment. My living room wall shares a wall with Charlie's bedroom, so I'm like, you know this guy can hear everything we're saying. Like, he's repeated conversations I've had at night with my friends, asking me that we don't curse or fight as much as his friends did his younger days. We go into my bedroom, and we come up with an idea. We're going to break into a storage locker in the garage. So we go down to the garage, and the FBI agent goes to his car, and he has some bolt cutters in there. And I'm suddenly pumped up. I'm involved in something. It's like a movie, and I'm having fun, almost at this point. The adrenaline is helping me forget about my relationship to these people over the years. I mean, this is the same man who bought me a Christmas present every year for the 4 years I've lived there. Once the lock is broken, we go back to my apartment, and the agent's telling me, okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm gonna go down. We're gonna get everything set. I'm gonna call you, you knock on his door and bring him down. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go to the hotel. I'm gonna call him, and I'm gonna tell him to meet you there. Then you take care of your business. I'm in my office, and I'm thinking about this guy, my neighbor, who looked after an old woman on the first floor, who one year, when I didn't write a thank you note for a Christmas present he gave me a box of stationery. I'm thinking, what did this guy actually do? So I go to Wikipedia, and I'm reading about murders and extortion and gambling. I get to the bottom, and in one of his last public sightings with one of his mafia buddies, there's a quote from him. When I go down, I'm going up with guns blazing. I start to rethink my involvement in the day's events. Conveniently, my phone rings, and it's the FBI, and they say, make the call. I start to waver. Look, man, I just read something about this guy. I don't know about this. He says, no. He'll never know. He'll never know. Which is obviously not true. But I'm this close to getting to my concert, so I say, all right, I'll make the call. I call the Gascos from the hotel, and there's no answer. I'm relieved. I'm so happy they didn't answer the phone. I call the agent back and I say, hey man, sorry, they didn't answer. Gonna have to go with something else. He says, are you sure you don't want to knock on the door? And I'm like, look man, curtains closed, guns blazing. What if he comes to the door with a gun? He says, just be like, hey man, what's going on? I'm thinking to myself, he will shoot me before I finish that one statement. I tell him that I'm not gonna do that. While this is going on, Carol calls back. And so I get on the phone and I explain to her that the storage unit's been broken into. I can either call the police or Charlie can meet me in the garage and we'll look at it. So she discusses this with him and she says, he'll be down in 5 minutes. All right, great. Hang up, call the FBI. He's on his way, do your thing. Then I walk outside and I'm standing in the courtyard of the hotel. Carol walks out on her balcony, which is directly across the street. She looks at me, and then she quickly looks down at the garage, and then she looks back at me. I don't know if she knew, but she looked worried. She walks back in, and then I get a call from the FBI, and they say, we got him, go to your concert. So I go change clothes, and the adrenaline, and the rush. And as soon as I open the door, it's like a slow motion shot of Suburbans and vans and FBI agents everywhere. And my neighbor, Charlie Gasco, standing there in cuffs, surrounded by agents, laughing and telling stories. He almost looks relieved. I'm staring at this, and as I pass him, I see Carol standing there a few feet away in cuffs. And the magnitude of everything that has happened starts to sink in a little bit. She looks at me and she says, hi Josh. And I can't speak. I just meekly waved and walked to my car and got on the highway and called my brother and said, you'll never guess what just happened to me tonight. What? I helped the FBI arrest the most wanted man in the country.